The timeline would be so compressed that they would not be able to consider some of the calmer and more deliberate ways of dealing with it. Instead, they would be running around madly trying to get everything done within however many weeks they have before the timeline of primaries and so forth took over.
Yeah, again, it's everyone here understands there's raw politics in Annapolis. I mean, that's the name of the game. I can assure you that we are going to be standing with the governor. And this is a nonpartisan, it's a bipartisan group. I'm a Democrat, and I'm, again, the co-chair, Walter's Republican, he's co-chair, and the group is again, bipartisan. I will be standing with the governor, we will, when he introduces another bill that requires implementation of this report. And then you all should follow this, and hopefully the citizens will raise enough hell to demand some democracy and some changes in business as usual. And all of us have taken a lot of heat. We can't get involved. We're not the legislators. We're simply here to recommend, which we did, and I just support the governor's vision here to get a different map and a fair and transparent process involved. And I mean, as I said, I've taken a lot of heat from my Democratic colleagues. I have.
I would just add, as a Montgomery County resident, and as everyone responded when asked, how did you hear about the hearing? It seems that the majority in that very informal poll suggested social media. So I would recommend, if you haven't read that report, at least 3 to 5 times, so in the next 24 hours, but use your social media platforms to please pass it around between now and the start of the next session. Really try to get as many people engaged on the issue and recommend the report to as many people. And one is, when you look at the recommendations of this commission, we spent a lot of hours and traveling around the state and hearing from many Maryland voters about the importance of the issue. But I think we came up with the recommendations in terms of our modeling of what we look at. Maryland prides itself as being a progressive state, but maybe this is sort of a really much needed dose of, I won't say it's purest form of federalism, but very close to that. We're looking at talking about mathematical models. We try to come up with something more close to a technical where it's absolutely any sort of partisan politics in the way the districts are drawn. And so really more citizen engagement between now and the start of the next session. And this is really one of the best that we think at this time. It was probably 30 years ago, but then looking back, modeling, I think, is the way to go on setting up the drawing districts.
I want to just add on to what you're saying about read it maybe 4 or 5 times, because I feel like we do keep saying, like, read the report, and your eyes maybe roll back in your head like, oh, I have to read a report. But it is somewhat complicated, and it's purposely so. The game is complicated on purpose, so that people who aren't really paying attention don't quite notice what's going on. So you do kind of have to get in and dig in there and learn about the details.
Besides reading the report yourself, I would urge citizens to call your delegate or senator and ask them if they've read the report. Have they read the report? When it came out last year, did they read it? And where do they stand on it? Get them on record in your campaign.
But isn't that sort of futile? Because
it is ultimately the legislature that will, it's not going to be this commission that resolves it. We can only issue a report.
But it's
The question is where the delegates and senators stand on the report.
It's a box in the hen house, though, isn't it? I mean, isn't it kind of futile? Because the people who put the system in place are protected by the system, so why should they change the system, regardless of what the voters want?
They feel the heat. That would be
Because
the issue.
we have to put the
I mean,
pressure.
at least with the,
They voted in
the
anyway.
Constitution, at least with congressional districts, the Constitution gives to them the power over these districts. The only real check other than the courts is citizens asking the legislators where they stand, and holding them accountable.
We have 3 hands up, Mr. Picker, Mr. McHugh, and the gentleman in the green shirt.
I'm a forward ever, backward never type of person.
But I'm just wondering if you ever actually found out how the heck they managed to draw District 3 the way they did.
But wearing black
I've
was
seen
involved.
progression maps before, but I can't quite recall the exact years that it happened, but I have seen somebody take like a progression map of District 3.
Have any of you sent a personal email to Martin O'Malley asking him how he drew that awful district?
But it's not just Martin O'Malley, certainly he's very involved in this, admitted, but the legislature approves this. Legislators, senators and delegates own it too.
Two very quick questions. The recording and the and records of other meetings, are they available someplace online? One, and two, can somebody clarify what, somebody mentioned there's a constitutional amendment needed, state constitutional amendment needed required. What's the process in Maryland for that?
On the first question, although we have not had videos of most of the hearings, there was some videography of our first hearing in Tucson, and so there is some good footage of that available on the web. There have been one or two attempts where the audio track didn't come out and things like that, so we don't have as much documentation as we'd like. We think. Sorry?
The minutes of the meetings are on the governor's website.
The minutes are on the governor's wall. The video is better. Anyway, we thank Jason Boisvert, who has got it set up here, and we're hoping that this time is the charm as far as getting.
It's all my equipment this time. I'm not trying to sponge off of somebody else's sound system, so I'm confident that we will get at least 90% of this hearing on.
But am I correct, he's come of his own accord to?
He's come, and we do appreciate that. He's not here to.
I will pass this in, I'm friendly with Walter. I can get him the information with the co-chair Olson, so I can get him the information and then he can post it on the commission's website or something.
Just if you put it on YouTube, we will send people to the YouTube.
That's the plan.
Brigitte.
Was anybody, any press asked to come? Because one of the things I think would be very helpful in Montgomery County is if the Bethesda Beat, which is one of our news media in Montgomery County. In fact, when I get articles, I always post them on Facebook and then it keeps going. But I would want to see some result of this public hearing, a few of your recommendations. You have this, in other words, I'm a feeling you probably won't hear anything. It's just us here and.
Now there's media here.
County media is there.
You are.
Don't
Can
tell
you
me
give
all.
something to, can you give something to Bethesda Beat so they can do something? Or there's something.
His job, he's not supposed to do his job.
All right, well, how do I get your information? I read the Bethesda Beat, I don't know if I can
Okay,
just.
that's it. We have a question in the back here. If no,
Knowing how important it is to advocate for laws that we want passed. As I'm looking at this, what a good point to start for this next legislative session is to look and see on Legiscan who sponsored this bill last term, to see if they probably will sponsor it and co-sponsor it again. In other words, we say, speak to our delegates, but then I also do a lot of work with voting rights, and the things that we work with is also the people who brought up different bills last year, and they're going to reintroduce them if it didn't pass. Would that be what you would recommend for this?
The governor's proposal last year was introduced as a bill and had a lot of co-sponsors. That is definitely a good place to start. You can also compare the competitive bill that the legislature chose to pass instead, see who sponsored that. And in any session, there will sometimes be other proposals that were at least put on the table, even if they never got a vote. And that may give you clues as to who's interested in reform.
So we know who to contact and speak with them. Okay.
And look into who's on the committees.
The committee, yeah.
Very important. If they're not on the committee, it's much harder for them to
get
make
their
themselves heard.
Yes, yes.
Jason, did you have a question?
I did. Well, comment. People were talking about earlier the futility of the process. I believe that the governor has a great deal of leverage in assigning the new map. So it's more difficult to get the commission passed, but he could present a map that is weighted so heavily in one direction and say this map on the one hand, the commission on the other, and Democrats would not, because that's the way the parties are set up here, Democrats would not be in a position to just skip it. They would at least have to form enough of a coalition to work around it.
I really think we should wind up at some point and continue more informally.
Okay,